Today we're going to take what we've learned about graphing inequalities, and we're going to graph systems of inequalities, which is multiple inequalities onto one graph. So we're going to do the same thing we were doing. We're going to graph as usual. We're going to pay attention to whether or not we need a dotted, dashed, or solid line. Then we're going to shade one side or the other, and we're going to do that for each one. The key here is, what makes this different is we are going to darken or shade the area where the 2 or 3 or 4 shadings overlap. So let's start with number 1, and I'm going to do number 1 in red. Y is less than or equal to negative x. So we're going to graph y equals negative x. That has a b of 0, so I'm going to plot a y-intercept at 0, and an m of negative 1, so I'm going to go down 1 over 1. So there's my negative slope, and it's less than or equal to, which makes that a solid line. So I'm going to draw a solid line, and I'm just going to pay attention to the sign to determine where to shade. So I want where the y's are less than the line. So here are my y's. I don't want the y's above it. I want where the y's are less than it. Now the difference in shading this time is I'm going to do it incredibly lightly, because I don't want all of that. I'm only going to want where the shadings overlap. So I want the less than part, so I want the part under the line. Okay, now in blue I'm going to do the other one. So I'm going to graph y is equal to 2/3 x minus 5. So we're going to go down 5, put a dot, and then up 2 over 3. That's going to be a dotted line because of the or because it doesn't have the or equal to. So this is going to be a dotted line. So I'm going to draw that. Then I'm going to decide where to shade. I want the y's bigger than the line. I want the y's up here greater than the line. So only paying attention to the blue, that's the part that I want. Now hopefully it's very clear where this overlap is. This left-hand piece is where the red was shaded and the blue was shaded. Those are the points that work in both sets of equations. Those are the points that satisfy both sets of equations. So what we're going to do is shade that entire piece. So I'm going to switch up to green. I'm going to make myself a nice thick line here so that I can shade that whole area right there. Okay, so every point in that green area will work for both inequalities. Okay, let's make these a little bit more challenging. We're going to add in some absolute values and some quadratics. So number 1, I'm going to graph this line, y equals 1/2 x plus 1. So we're going to go up 1 and up 1 over 2. That's going to be a dotted line because it is strictly less than. And we're going to shade below. Okay, now I'm going to switch up colors, and I'm going to do the other one, which is an absolute value, has a vertex of 2, -5, hk, h always lies, k tells the truth, so over 2, down 5, and then up 2 over 1 is the slope. That's going to be a solid picture because of the or equal to. And I want greater than, so I want above. I want the y's above that. So I am grading essentially the inside of the V. Now hopefully you can see where this overlap is. And so the overlap here is in the middle. I'm actually going to use a highlighter. I think that'll show up better. So I'm going to use the highlighter to color in where these overlap, which is in between the line and the absolute value. So this green part is my answer. Okay, the green part, except where I shaded outside here, The green part is the answer. The green part is where this graph, where the two inequalities overlap. Okay, moving on to number 3. So what's that going to be? What are we going to have here? We're going to have a u because it's an x squared, and we're going to have a v because it's an absolute value. And then somewhere the shadings will overlap. So here we have x squared minus 4. So that's hk. That's a vertex of 0, negative 4. So we're going to go down 4. And we need some points to the right, so I'm going to pick 1 and 2. So 1 squared minus 4 is 1 minus 4, which is negative 3. So 1, negative 3. I'm going to mirror it on the other side. And then 2 squared minus 4 is going to be 0. So 2, 0. And then I'm going to mirror it on the other side. That's going to be a solid line because of the or equal to. So I'm going to draw my pretty u and extend it up into the graph. Now this is less than, so I want the y's less than. Again, here's your y. There's your y-axis. I want all the y's less than. So essentially I want the outside of my parabola. So I'm going to switch up colors, and I'm going to go here to the absolute value. Again, we have hk, and the vertex is 0, 8. So 0, 8. And I think I have a typo. I do. On your packet as you're working on this will have been a negative. I did not type it into my PowerPoint. I apologize, but it is in your packet. So that is a negative. Okay, so that's going to be down 1 over 1. And that's going to be a solid line. Okay. And we want less than that, which means we want everything here. So where is the overlap? The overlap is a little hard to see. Okay, it's not the inside here because that's only blue. It's outside here where the red and blue come together. So all of this out here is where the overlap falls. So any point there will work in each of your equations. So now here are 2 problems for you to do on your own. Number 4, you'll notice, is a line and a line. Number 5 will be a line and an absolute value, and then you want to make sure that you draw the overlap, you shade in the overlap to those. And we'll go over these tomorrow.